and turn it back over to you.
So we asked that Ken introduce the action requested in executive session.
Sure.
Can we hear Ken?
I move that we extend the contract for the daycare center for one additional year.
Ken made a motion to extend the daycare contract for one additional year, if you didn't hear him.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 It looks unanimous, John.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see, we have in the consent agenda, we have the minutes from the RGB full board meeting on Monday, June 14th, 2021.
I'll move it. Second it.
Motion made to accept the meetings of the accept the meeting minutes of the full board meeting on June 14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that looks unanimous as well. The minutes from the
Aye.
RGB special meeting on Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. Need a motion to accept those minutes as well.
A motion to accept the minutes.
Asher. And looks like
Second by Dane.
Leon seconded. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have payroll warrants. Warrant number 1051, 1052, 1053. 1000 and 1002.
So moved.
Second it. All those in favor of accepting the payroll warrants, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay, and the vendor warrants, number 1054 and 1001.
So moved.
Second.
Ken seconded it.
All those in favor of accepting the vendor warrants?
Aye.
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 Looks unanimous too, John.
Right. The treasurer's report. Any questions about the cash flow of revenue or expense?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, can we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report at this time?
Motion to accept treasurer's report.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Action items. Michael, you have nominations?
I do. You've already taken care of the one action item, which was the daycare. There are two nominations in the board packet, excuse me, and the Dropbox. The first one is for, if I can get my hands on it. The first one is a nomination for Michael Thorenson for our manufacturing program instructor. He is replacing Adam Canastrasi. His background, he's experienced in CNC programming from Morrison, Berkshire from 2010 to the present. He was a loader and operator, a CNC operator at Qualcomm, and control tech, an adult ed manufacturing program teacher at McCann Tech, and a member of the school advisory board down in McCann Tech for manufacturing. You can see the folks who interviewed him there in the applicant pool. All the background checks are in, including computer check, fingerprints, the child registry, and the adult abuse and neglect registry. They all came back very quick this time, so I'm asking for approval for this nomination for Michael Thorenson.
I'll move it. Second it.
All those in favor of accepting the nomination for Michael Torrenson, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Looks unanimous, John.
Okay.
The second nomination is for culinary arts, and that is for Nicholas Delory, who's replacing our former culinary instructor, Mark Conway. Nick's background checks are all in, all four of them. His education, he has an associate's degree from the Culinary Institute of America. He attended Rutland High School and is also a Stafford Tech graduate of their culinary program. He is current owner of the Vermont Butcher Shop, worked at Stafford Tech in adult education, was a chef at the Reluctant Panther in Manchester, the lead line cook for 21 Federal, also the sous chef at the Maple Grove Cottages and Dining, and Stafford Tech and Rutland Culinary Arts Teaching Fellowship in 2006. Nick comes with 16 years of experience, interviewed well, and we're asking you to approve his nomination today for a full-time culinary arts instructor.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, motion was moved by Ken and seconded by Leon. All those in favor of accepting nomination of Nicholas Delory and the Culinary Arts Program Instructor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Looks unanimous.
Okay.
And I just, while it's not on the agenda, I just want to note, I'll cover this in my superintendent's report, but all of our hires are done for the school year, so we're fully staffed for the start of the school year. I know that was probably a question somebody might have, so I want to address that now. And I am just,
This is good.
just so you know, Cat TV wants into the meeting room, so I'm letting Cat TV in. That's who dinged in, just so you know. Okay, ready to move on?
All right, so we, I don't see any meeting reports here from the various committees. I have no report except to welcome Michael back and to his after his illness and hoping that, like he does, that things go well from here.
Thank you.
That's
John.
basically it.
John,
Go ahead, Leon.
before it's done, over the course of the summer, August is a time that we supposed to have several going. That was one for superintendent's goals and evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll probably have one, I think, up for policy and that they need to looking at dates and try to get a committee meeting in either in August or the 1st of September.
All right.
John, if I could recommend, that we look at September, a little bit into September, if we can just get the school year started, and then have the committee meetings as we just kind of deal with this Delta variant and the changes that are coming a little bit to the school. Nothing like last year, and get things settled, and then hopefully we can get back on a regular schedule. We can always do the Zoom meetings if we need to. So the public knows that our meetings are, there is a physical location. You can come now until further notice. They'll be held here at Southwest Tech. People can always join via Zoom or via phone call if they're more comfortable or can't be in person. There are no restrictions on that as long as there's somebody present, physically present for the meetings in case the public has comment. And so, here going forward, I will always make sure there's somebody here in person for this meeting, whether it's myself or someone else from the administrative team. And hopefully we can get back in person all together, sooner rather than later. So that's that.
Will the next meeting be after school opens, Michael? Because if it is, we'll know then whether or not we should be able to meet publicly, right?
Yes, that's something that the board will have to decide today. It's not on the agenda. I don't think it had to be, but our regular scheduled next board meeting would be the second Monday of September. And whether this committee chooses to keep the time, alter the time, go back to the original time, or anything in between, that's really up to the board.
Okay.
What you would prefer. So.
All right.
We
Well,
should
we can discuss that after your report, maybe.
Sure.
Okay. That gives people a chance to think about it. All right, can we have the superintendent's report, please?
You certainly can. I have a bunch of things here to cover with you. It won't be lengthy, but there are a lot of things on here. I don't want to miss anything, so I wrote a long list. The start of school is August 23rd. So the first 2 days are professional development, August 23rd and 24th for teachers and paraprofessionals. That'll be here before you know it. That Wednesday, which is the 25th, will be freshmen only for Mount Anthony. And then on Thursday, all of our students will return to the tech center. They will be in person unless something changes, but this is as of today, okay? Everyone will be in person. There will be no modified schedules. The changes that will look different from last year, students and staff, everyone's required for at least the first 10 days of school to wear a mask until we as a school can prove that 80% of the population has been vaccinated. That is the threshold the state or the AOE has set for the schools. Once we reach 80%, we're told that we can probably be able to unmask and move forward and treat this more like influenza rather than the COVID emergency that we had. So I think everyone's gotten used to wearing a mask. I've had to be in a mask even this summer with recovering from things. So I haven't been out of it very much. I can say I enjoy it. I have to tell you that when I am out of it. But another 10 days isn't gonna hurt any of us. So we expect more guidance coming out next week regarding lunches and whatnot and busing and things like that. There's been no indication that there'll be any kind of social distancing required or health checks coming in the building, things like that, like we had to do last year. Anything could change, of course, before school starts, but there's been no indication that we're going to have to go that deep again, like we did last year. So that's welcome news to all of us. And it should be to the students and parents as well, that, we continue to, a lot of the protocols we put in place last year, we're keeping. They're good hygiene practices, cleaning the buses more often, high touch surfaces more often. We're just used to it. So why not keep doing it? Just things that we've learned. So, I'm confident that we will still have a safe and productive school year like we did last year. Just hopefully back to some more normalcy than we've been experienced in the past. This Delta variant is interesting, and depending on who you want to talk to, where it is and whatnot. So the state recognizes that it is real, but at this time, there's no indication the governor or anyone else is going to declare a new state of emergency like there was before. So whatever you've heard, that's what I know as of this morning. Let's see. I want to say a couple of thank yous before we go too far. Number one, the cleaning and maintenance crew that works all summer here across the whole campus to maintain our facility. Those who work year round here, thank you very much. It's a ghost town here in the summer, but there are a few of us that are around and doing stuff. And I look forward to seeing everyone back in person when school starts. So last week we also co-hosted, as usual, the Bennington Police Department's new experience camp that we've been involved with, as you know, for several years. And this year we were involved again. We provide transportation for the camp, and they spend one full day here at the tech center with us. This year they spent their Monday with us, which was last week. And we had culinary arts. I'm trying to think, culinary arts, forensics, thank you, graphic design, and building trades. Those are the 4 programs that we had this year. So there were a total of 30 students, ages approximately 12 to 15, that rotated through all those programs. And they each made something and took it home with them. Building trades built picture frames that were then stained and Soshi bond or something, a burning technique. And then they made photos in the lab, in the Photoshop lab, to put in those frames. And so it was kind of nice. And the kids had a great week, from what I understand. And once they leave here Monday, our involvement is really transportation for them for the week. But it was a great week. I know they had a lot of fun. So we like doing that. Just looking in the chat window here, there's a question from Jackie Kelly. Will students be able to attend class remotely if they choose due to compromised health? The answer is we are not offering a fully remote option this year for students. We are in person, and we're not required to offer a fully remote option. And so we do not plan to offer a fully remote option. For students who do have, sorry, I'm just muting somebody, background noise. So for those people who are, wish not to come into the building or have immunocompromised systems or whatever, we can make some alternate arrangements, but there will not be a fully remote option this year. It just becomes too complicated unless we're told we have to. Some other changes for this year that we're looking at, as you know, at the last meeting in June, or special meeting in June, you approved our educational recovery plan. I did tell you that it would come back from the state with feedback, and it's been, approved on its merits. We just have to make some modifications to it. It does not have to come back to the board for full approval, but I'll be happy to share the final document with you when it's done. It won't change substantially, just some terminology and some other items that were missing from the plan that the state would like to see. So we'll put those in there and get it back to them. One of the things that we're going to be focusing on this year, and the teachers are hearing this if they're watching today for the first time, so they'll hear this in my letter, but one of the things on the recovery plan is talking about social emotional learning, and SEL. It's called SEL is the acronym, and academic recovery for students who have not had traditional school experience for the past 18 months or so. And so we're going to be integrating some social emotional learning into our daily curriculum and our weekly planning with our students. I don't see it to be a burden. I find that it's going to be very helpful for the teachers as well as the students. We all, as adults, we also struggle and with social emotional issues as well. And so we're gonna start tackling that this year at the Tech Center with students and faculty. Likely in a pilot program with a few programs first to see how it goes this year. Looks like we're going to have a trainer come in person with us for a few hours at the beginning of the school year and do some adult SEL and talk about the curriculum and how we can integrate it into our Tech Center. So it's going to be different, but I've read a book this summer on social emotional learning and what it's about, when it's not about. And I've learned a lot behind it. And I think it's a well worth cause of something that we should integrate into our school, period. Whether it's post-COVID or whatever it would be. And I think that faculty and staff and students will benefit immensely from it. And I'm looking forward to it, quite frankly, as a new initiative this year, because it's going to benefit our students. So more to come on that. If the weather cooperates with us and I can get the tent that I want, we're going to also this year bring back, you've all heard of the first day celebration at school that was pioneered by Hemmings Motor News many years ago, and it has been abandoned for some time. Faculty and staff feel really strongly about welcoming students back to the Tech Center this year in a first day style, so that they know school is back in session and welcome them back. So we're looking to do a first day celebration this year with both our first year program students and our second year program students. Probably not so much for the intro students, but we'll try. So what we're looking at is probably going to get if I can get my hands on it, a large tent for outside, and we'll have, for our morning students, likely some sort of breakfast, which will probably be served by the staff, as well as some I hate to call them team building activities, but getting back to know kids and getting them comfortable here back at the school. And then the afternoon, programs will have a lunch type, ordeal rather than breakfast. And so that's still in the planning stages, but we're pretty excited about that. And it was really the request of many staff members that we bring that back. And I think it's also a great idea. So we're going give it our best stab to do that. What else can I share with you on my list here? I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, so I did report earlier that all of our positions are hired for the school year, so we're fully staffed, which I'm thankful for. We started the school year with down 3, and we've been able to hire all the positions. Those new teachers did start last week in the teacher boot camp, as I call it, at Vermont Technical College. It was held this year remotely over Zoom. They continue this week with the boot camp again, and so they should be ready to hit the ground running here after next week and get started. And for those who are watching, and to remind folks, it's a 4-year process for our teachers to become licensed. So it's a big burden. It takes 3 to 4 years. Most take 4 to do it. And remember, they're working full time in a new job that they've never worked in before, and then they're taking classes full time. And most of them have a family outside of school full time. So it's really a challenge. Most academic teachers at high schools get hired right out of school, or they've had teaching experience and they move right in. You can tell we're in the school building today. That means the first lunch just started, in case you're curious, at least in the old days anyway. And I lost my train of thought. What was I? The Vermont Tech. Yeah, so the teachers, it takes up to 4 years, and there are about 9 classes teachers need to take, and they need to pass a praxis, which is a 3-part reading, writing, and math assessment. It's a lot, and we've all been through it, but we know it's cumbersome, and we appreciate the new teachers going through it. So I want to thank them. I hope they're not watching today, because I should be in class. So if they watch us afterwards, thank you. I know it's a challenge. And other than that, that's what I have on my list. Things have been ticking away here month after month, like usual. And we're all looking forward to getting back to hopefully some more normal life. I do want to mention, because we are being recorded by Cat TV, and I know that this will be rebroadcast at some point, that the Agency of Education and the Department of Health are offering several vaccine clinics around the state. And there are several that are here in the southern part of the state as well, at Burton Academy and other places. Check out our Facebook page where those locations are. And of course, we encourage those who are eligible to get vaccinated to please do so. Anyone older than 12 years old can get it. There's no cost. Make an appointment, and I don't even know if you need an appointment, to be honest with you, but there are all sorts of vaccination sites around. So again, if we get to an 80% vaccination rate, we should be able to return to a unmasked, more normal school year. And that should be easier for us at a high school level, because people are in grades 9 through 12 are primarily eligible for some vaccine. I do know that in the elementary setting, of course, it's not been approved for anyone under 12. So I expect there will be in mask probably longer at the elementary level. But the good news is that everything appears to be in person, and that's the most important piece of this, I think. So that's what I have. I'm happy to answer questions if folks have them. Looks like Anthony, I see his hand up first.
Yeah, I got one. Just as a parent with kids in the school system, how are you requesting parents to show vaccination of their children as we start going back to school? What's that look like? Vaccination cards or copies of?
Yeah, it's a great question, Anthony, and thank you for asking. We are just developing our forms for that this week. Likely, we send forms home every year, some on paper, some electronic, that have health records on them. As far as, do you have asthma, other conditions that we should be aware of, et cetera. And so we will simply ask for immunization records. Likely, it could be a copy of the immunization card, the original or whatnot. To bring it in. We'll put it into our student management system where all student data is housed, where we can then calculate hopefully what percentage we have, so we can prove that to the state at some point. So really not an onerous or burdensome issue. Just bring in your vaccination card, or a letter from the doctor that you've been vaccinated, something other than saying that I'm vaccinated. We need some kind of proof to put on file, and that's it as far as I know. Anthony.
All right, great.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I got it.
Should be easy.
Yeah.
Dane has a question. He's here in person, of course.
Yeah, are there any updates from the agency of education as far as protocol, if there is a positive case?
Dane's question was, are there any updates from the AOE on protocol if there are cases of COVID in the school year? And the answer is I've not received any specific guidance on that, any different from last year, that we will still operate. We'll likely bring a student into what is our isolation room and have the nurse meet with them and go over their symptoms and send them home, et cetera. As far as contact tracing with the Department of Health, it's my understanding that that will still likely happen. And we have all those protocols in place from last year. So it doesn't feel like a burden anymore to do that. It's still a lot of paperwork, but over the course of the year, not so much me because I was only here for part of the year, but the office staff and folks, they developed a great system in place to track students who were sick or who were sent home and right within our student management system. So it worked out really well. So I don't think that's going to be, it's a great question. And lunch is now over. So it's, yes, that's what we plan on doing. Great question. What else can I?
I got one.
Okay, Leon.
You mentioned about the new learning process. And the only thing I was thinking about is to have that maybe go to the education committee and have a full review of everything to see whether how that's going to flow out with a better in-depth understanding before it comes out and give a brief to the full board.
Leon, yep, no, I think that's a good idea. I don't know that I can make that happen before school starts. This is a mandate. Strongly suggested mandate from the state and the AOE. So we have to do something around this social emotional learning and our recovery plan. So, some schools are using a different curriculum or a different company. This is the one that I've selected, but I'm happy to bring it before the education committee and give you a full overview of what it looks like and feedback from the training and et cetera. And again, it's likely it's going to be piloted this year in several programs, and we'll have to develop some other type of SEL resources for those programs not involved. That's my initial thought on it. I'll know more once I speak with the trainer this week and determine the rollout of the entire curriculum and whatnot. But I think that your request to have it to the education committee is certainly appropriately on, and I would be able to give a much better report after we've seen some more of the information and had the training.
And the reason I wanted that to happen because this can also become one of the goals that you may have put down to be evaluated on a note that everybody is aware that that's a goal that to achieve those things when that committee meets.
That's a great suggestion, Leon. Yeah, absolutely. There are other questions that I could answer or try to answer. I don't see anything, and I see Ken's raised his hand to make a motion to adjourn. So,
Well, we should discuss where and when we will hold our next meeting, whether we'll continue on Zoom or go back to the center, and also whether or not whether or not the time should remain the same or should be changed so that the public is more likely to attend.
So I will, I'm just pulling up the date of what that would be like. Sorry about the background noise. So that would be our next regularly scheduled meeting date would be the second Monday. So the 13th, Monday, the 13th of September. That would be our scheduled meeting. What the pleasure of the board is, as far as really all you have to decide is time, really, because we have to have we have to have this anyway. Someone has to be here in person. So that part isn't in our control. Just a matter of setting the time, what people are comfortable with going forward. So That's up to you. That's up to you folks.
Any
Dane
discussion?
and Ken said, I'm relaying it for you. They shook their head and said they like the 10 o'clock. It works for them. So that's their feedback.
I'm flexible. It could be either or. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Anyone else have a strong preference? Jackie, you're muted. There you go.
So I recommend that we let the people voice their opinion who are working full time. You know, so, some people who work full time can come and some people can't. So I don't want to exclude people because they're working full time. Does that make sense?
Yes, Jackie, it does. You know, I one thing I will say is that you know, I think that I do want to praise the board for this, and I know I'm interrupting the discussion, but you know, all during this pandemic, when we've been meeting remotely on Zoom, you've all been very dedicated and been here for almost every single meeting and helped the school move forward on what we had to do. And I want to say thank you for that. So the 10 o'clock timeframe has worked so far, you know, but again, it's up to everyone here, you know. So I'll be quiet.
Personally, for me, I'm fine with you know, the Monday morning 10 o'clock for the September 13th. That'll get us past the 10 days of the kids being in school. So I think we'll kind of have a better idea where we're at vaccination wise, and if anything pops up along the way, and kind of reassess and go from there. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I'm also fine with the 10 a.m. I think someone mentioned it though, that we want to make sure the public can attend, and 10 a.m. might not be a good time for public to attend a meeting. So I'm fine with either, but I think the 10, or I think we had 6, which was the later in the evening time, which was fine as well. But
Either time works for me as well.
I know that John Lamson at least wanted to attend certain committee meetings. I don't know if he'd want to attend full board meetings, and if so, if 10 a.m. would be an okay time for him. It's an okay time for me.
Asher, I think John would probably, he doesn't normally attend the full board meetings. I mean, he definitely attends the committee meetings, and you know, those can be scheduled for any time. You know, those could be 2:30, 3 o'clock or something if you wanted John to attend, because he's teaching until, you know, 2:15. So the committee meetings are a little more easier to move around, I think, time-wise. That's just my feedback on that.
Thank you.
Ken?
One thing I think people had mentioned before, which was a good idea, is that you set up maybe a half hour before each meeting, we could visit a different department, meet the instructor, and just see what the classroom looks like. You know, half hour at the most, we could go in and out like 9:30 to 10. And, I think that's beneficial. I went to the machine shop, and I remember that. I thought I learned a lot. The guy explained this is old fashioned everything, and you know, it's really nice to learn.
So Ken's feedback, if you couldn't hear him, is that one of his suggestions is that for those who want to start the, you know, unofficially the meeting a little bit early and do some program tours, basically of the, you know, later in the fall when things settle down. And I know that new board members, I know I have requested and asked to see the facility and look at programming, and you know, we haven't been able to facilitate that because of all the restrictions. And I hope that we can do that, you know, after things settle in. And to sort of answer Ken's question as well, one of the other things that we want to do this year is for each board meeting have one program instructor and or a student here to tell you what's going on in their program. I think that's important. We got away from that for a while for whatever reason, and but I think it's good to hear from them, not just me, about what's going on in the center. And so, you know, I think we could certainly accommodate tours and things like that once things settle down a little bit. Mike?
So if we want to do that, which I think is great, and I'm fully in favor of that, it sounds like the 10 a.m. might be better for that because they're in school and they don't have to stay later or come back and things like that. So you might see the student teacher interaction as well too. But so
That's a really good point, Mike, that I didn't consider. So that's a great point.
So do we have a consensus that will, at this point, it sounds like 10 o'clock works for most of us. And that it actually will assist in some of our goals as far as getting around to the programs and so forth. So.
And I do think that, when we can, and when we do some tours and facility and looking at programs, I do think it's important that you're here and able to see students in action and not just empty classrooms or empty spaces. I mean, I can walk you through the building anytime you want, and a lot of you have already seen it, but to see students learning and students in action and what's happening is much more impressive than an empty shop, although they're very impressive by themselves. But
Does that mean we get to drive the robot
CDL trainer?
Oh, you'll have to ask Rob. I'm not in charge of that. That's his thing. I don't dare touch it. But I could see what I could do. I know people, Jackie. I could see if I could get them.
Okay, so the time looks good. 10 o'clock. Those in favor of continuing with the 10 o'clock meeting, and we have a choice of Zooming or entering the building. And as Mike says, it's probably easier to do the observations if we enter the building, but we can do both as we are today. So I guess the big issue is the time. So all those in favor of, oh, wait a minute, I guess we have, we have to move that the meeting will continue to be at 10 a.m.
Ken's raising his hand.
Can we have a motion to, yeah. Do we need a motion to do that, Mike?
I'd be on air on the side of caution. I'd make a motion probably.
Yeah. Okay, can we have a motion? Ken raised his hand. Can we get a second then? Okay, Mike and Anthony. Okay. All right, so all those in favor then of keeping the meeting at 10 a.m., please raise your hand or say aye.
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 It looks unanimous from what I can see.
All right, so are there any other issues at this time that you would like to discuss? And we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Ken's making the motion.
Yeah, Asher seconded.
All right.
All right, so all those in favor of adjourning at 10:55.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
If
Thank you all.
If anyone wants to stay for the day, I'll be here. We're working on plan if you want to stay.
Thanks all for being here.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you next month.